These days the Americans are constantly repeating the saying that they want a united Syria. They say this on more than one occasion. Tom Brack, the American ambassador to Turkey and the envoy to Syria and the Middle East in general, he repeats this topic in more than one Trump forum by saying also a lot. The foreign minister says that they always want Syria as one bloc, but we are used to that. Westerners usually say words and their actions are in a completely different direction. Early 20th century. The British reassured the Arabs that they would have one strong state and encouraged them on this subject, which is the Great Arab Revolution. They told them that we will give you weapons. They have already given them weapons and information. And very great energy to get them out of Ottoman rule. The promise of this strength and this unity and this awaited state is the Arab dream of forming an entity that means a unified and independent entity. They very much promoted the image of the Ottoman occupation, as they are called, and therefore, or the Turkish occupation means, and therefore means, oh, help them. At the same time that they are doing this, Marquis Sykes, who is the famous British military diplomat, is sitting with François-Georges Picot, who is the French diplomat, at the same time that they are making this announcement. In front of all people, there is a unified Arab state that they sit together. He secretly said in 906 Tashar to divide the entire region among them, dividing the Arab region. Those who are in the Levant and in Iraq, divide it among them. France takes Syria, Lebanon and northern Iraq, and that Britain takes Palestine, Jordan and southern Iraq, and Jerusalem and its surroundings remain an administrative area. Universal. One of the funny things is that Russia was involved in the issue and a rule was with them, and it was promised that it would take Western Armenia. On S, our foundation accepts this division. It is like an observer of this division, and at the same time it is considered part of Western Armenia as a kind of expulsion. I fear what I fear. For there to be deception of the Arabs similar to the deception that occurred in Sykes-Picot Agreement of our people in Syria, so that the scenario will be repeated again and Syria will be divided into divisions. The Levant, as divided by individuals, may have differed over time. There is no Britain and France. Israel, America and Russia may also remain involved in the issue, but this is possible. Exist? There are some disturbing news that we read that we no longer understand because we have no background on what is happening behind the scenes. You are strange news to us, but it needs to decompose. First, Tom Barrack repeatedly declares that Syria is a unified country in the American vision, even though he is against it. Against the American interest on thought means America's interest. It is fragmenting the region, not if it remains a strong entity located directly next to Israel like this. He always announces that he is a worker like ours. The Egyptian proverb says that whoever has a sore on his head feels it. He is as he is, he feels that he has a problem, and it's strange that he caught the eye himself. Tom Barrack, I hear him B says this is not. We did not put the days of Sykes-Picot. What is the same as observing the similarity of what happens with Sykes-Picot? And he says, no guys, no. We're not Sykes-Picot, we're not angry, we're not good, we're not praised in Sykes-Picot. Also, Tom Barrack's constant declaration that normalization with Israel is an important condition for lifting sanctions on Syria, F. And he wants to put strong pressure on the speed of this issue quickly before there remains a parliamentary assembly, a founder institutions, a state, and an army in Syria. No, we want it now with matters like this under control to quickly make decisions, and we are putting Syria in an agreement that lasts for 100 years, 2 years ago, in the difficult situations that Syria is facing right now. We also note America's insistence that Sharia law eliminates all armed forces in Syria. He gets rid of the people who helped him in order to reach what he reached. whether from Turkestan, Chechnya, Tajikistan, or anywhere else. Anyone other than a Syrian gets rid of the Palestinians who are present. These are all conditions for lifting sanctions. Get rid of the Palestinians in Syria, get rid of ISIS, which is of course different from the street now, but their roots are close. Islamic jihadist groups, it is possible that one day ISIS will change into the ideology of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham and thus remain the nucleus of soldiers. Why? He must also get rid of them and take them out. Even if we put all this talk together with America's repeated requests to get rid of chemical weapons, what exists in Syria, which is considered a suitable deterrent weapon for nuclear energy, or the nuclear weapon that exists in Israel, but you must get rid of it so that it is not acceptable in Syria, any type of resistance, have been placed. This is in addition to the continuous attack of the Syrian army from Israel, without no one speaks, whether destroying ground force, aviation, warehouses, weapons, or military barracks. Even buildings, I mean, the logistical needs of war are destroying all of this. In the end, you will still have an entity that does not have any kind of resistance, neither individuals nor materials. It can be an entity that is economically secure or safe for its life if all wars stop, but it does not have the energy to impose any kind of decisions or opinion. If we put all this together and we come up with a picture of the truth, what does Trump's statement mean? Very odd. Perhaps you heard him, you noticed that he was otherwise in the middle of his speech, but he said this in his meeting with Netanyahu. He said that he was one of the people who asked him to lift the sanctions on Syria. Netanyahu means Netanyahu himself wants the sanctions lifted on Syria. Why? Certainly, the outcome of the agreement will be in the interest of a great interest for Israel and a great interest for the Jews, and therefore he wants to lift the sanctions. Something about Syria is, of course, very, very strange. To complete the deception with the Arabs and Syrians, America is putting pressure on Russia. It's out of the equation. Russia leaves Syria without a fight. They also put pressure on Iran. So that if we imagine that, and then what happened is a victory for the Syrians over Russia, which is the second military power in the world, and after that we are surprised that Israel is striking every day and is afraid with its tanks, and is making expansions without anyone talking to it. This is something that remains paradoxical, eye-catching, a little weird. Now, if I put this perception in my mind, it is possible to read the events that exist and ask questions, because I also do not have clear answers, because I do not have information, but these are things that remain strange to observations. Strange topic of Saida and the events that happened in Sweden. Is it contrived or accidental? You see, will you continue or will you stop? Shape, subject, does it indicate a number? Among the dead from the 200 exceeded, other than the people who died from the forces, the security that entered to favor the conflict. I mean, these are numbers. Do you think this is contrived in preparation for the fact that the Druze who live in the Sweda region are stationed in Sweda and some other places such as the Golan, the Damascus countryside, and some other places? There are many Druze in Syria. The Druze from 700,000 to 1,000 means they work for a state. I wonder if this could be a prelude to the independence of the Druze in a state in Suwaida and Daraa, for example, and parts of the Damascus countryside. Do they operate an entity in this area? And worse than that, I wonder if it is possible for Israel to expand in this region and the Druze, who are already Israel's right hand in the region, remain. Will they remain at that time the people of the part in which Israel has now expanded? Israel includes the rest of the area of Basan al-Am mentioned to them in the Torah. And he previously presented us with an episode on this topic, in which he originally called the process of destroying the Syrian army Operation Sham al-Alam, indicating that it is a region of Basan al-Alam that he followed. Bashan did it, Shamla, Sweda, Shield and the Golan, including parts of the Damascus countryside to the south of Damascus. This situation is a Hali situation. Israel then sees this plan, if this entire region is part of Israel like the Golan. Now it is pumping the expansion of this region and does not remain. The Druze are an independent state in this region and Israel is helping Duard and Duard. We also ask her another question. Do you see the events of Latakia, the fires of Latakia? Is this one contrived? Not either. I mean, my fate at this time. Because it is also contrived, it could be a prelude to the independence of the Alawites in northwestern Syria. They will take the rest of the Latakia region along with the Tartus region and create an independent state in this region. This also raises a question that is also very dangerous for me. The Kurds in Turkey handed over their weapons. Now they have stopped their war. I mean, we saw on February 27, 2025 AD, Öcalan announcing a cessation. The military rebellion against Turkey, Khalas, ended in one word, the war that lasted for 41 years from 1984 to 2025. They dissolved the party, the Kurdistan Workers' Party, and handed over their weapons. Does this stop the Kurdish-Turkish war? Is this a price for Turkey so that it does not enter the equation? I mean, that's it. You remain like this. I mean, America, in agreement with the Kurds, will keep Turkey safe from the Kurds' side and stop the war on the basis that Turkey, in return, will not enter Syria so that the equation does not change. After that, America will come and operate a state for the Kurds in northeastern Syria, Al-Hasaka Governorate, such as Deir ez-Zor. They will operate a state for the Kurds, and this state at the same time remains cooperative with the Jews. With Israel, and threatening Turkey so that it does not graduate abroad, the equation as well. So all of this means possibilities and answering questions, meaning we do not have clear answers about them. But I think people will come back and study Sykes-Picot well, because when we were saying that the possibilities would be Britain and France deceive Muslims and Arabs in the days of Sykes-Picot, there were very many people who revolted and said, no, how? And they help us. Right, liberty and human rights. And global balances say a lot of things in order to deceive themselves, and unfortunately we are very, very deceived, and after that all things are done behind us. No one after that says, I swear to God I said, and I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry that I deceived you. It's very normal. He remains exposed and he does all this deception and deals with the utmost clarity in front of people. Situation stabilizes according to their agreement, but Sykes-Picot's legacy continues. Palestine remains unoccupied. At the sowing 17, they took it and handed it over in the year 48 to Israel, and until now it is still occupied, and we ask God Almighty for safety. I hope this is all illusions, and this does not mean that these are facts and there is no deception in it, and that America will be good, and don't deceive me. The Syrians and all this talk is a code for lifting sanctions. Out of mercy for the Syrians. I hope, but I doubt that. The ideal solution, in my opinion, and we conclude the episode with it. For Syria to become an institutional state quickly, a parliamentary assembly and a people's assembly must work. They have it, meaning the people of the people choose it to govern, and they have an elected president. They elect the president, whether they elect Ahmed al-Shara or not elect anyone else, and they agree on someone to stand with, and the entire people remain behind this. The entity is the government on the basis that we are. In the end, we are all Syrians. We will be able to defend Syria with all our sex, ethnicities, orientations, and planes. In the end, by uniting Syria. Swift action needed given the circumstances. There is no entity for the state. All decisions are individual. We do not have an institution that controls the state. The state has an army or a parliament, and it does not mean a specific form that leads to the interest of the country from the point of view of the country, not from the point of view of an individual. This will be the big solution, especially if this elected unified entity appreciates that it has strong relations with the surrounding Arab countries. Then they can be a burden. He changes the plans. We pray for protection of Syria and other Muslim countries from Western and Israeli conspiracies. God's blessings are good. Peace, mercy, and blessings of God upon you.